You've probably met someone who walks into a room, says a single word, and suddenly, everyone is hanging on to their every syllable. There's something about the way they speak that demands attention, something that makes it impossible to ignore them. People naturally feel like whatever they say is important, that it's something they absolutely need to hear. And deep down, you've probably asked yourself, what is it about the way they speak that commands respect? Well, today, I'm going to reveal all those secrets to you. I'm going to show you exactly what they're doing that makes people listen, and what you might be missing that keeps people from respecting your words. But be warned, what I'm about to share with you might challenge everything you thought you knew about communication. It might even break some of your long-held beliefs about how to get people's attention and respect. So, are you ready to take control of your voice and gain the respect you deserve? Let's dive in. But first, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's make sure this message reaches those who are ready to earn the respect they've been looking for in life. Number 1, always saying sorry. Let's get real for a second. There's something so simple yet so powerful that could be standing in the way of people respecting you, and that thing is the habit of saying, "I'm sorry." Sounds controversial, right? But hear me out. You've probably been taught that apologizing is a sign of politeness, of being humble and considerate. But if you want to earn respect, you need to start by stopping the constant apologies. "I'm sorry" isn't always polite. Sometimes it's just a way of shrinking yourself, of undermining your own worth. And trust me, it's not helping you gain the respect you deserve. Think about it. You walk into a room and immediately say, "Sorry, I'm late," even though you're only 2 minutes behind. Now, you've already painted yourself as the one with the problem, when all that happened was life throwing a little curveball at you. Or when someone bumps into you and you rush to say, "Oh, sorry." What are you apologizing for? For being in the same space as them. Let me share a moment when I realized just how deep this sorry habit ran for me. I was in a meeting speaking my thoughts when I got interrupted, and my reflex, "Oh, sorry, go ahead." Hold on. Why was I apologizing for being interrupted? That was a wake-up call for me. I began paying attention to every time I said sorry, and guess what? I realized that 90% of the time, I had no reason to apologize at all. By apologizing unnecessarily, you're not just forming a bad habit. You're telling your mind, "I'm not worthy of this space. I'm not worthy of being heard." And you know what happens when you keep doing that? Others start to believe it too. They see you as someone who's always wrong, someone who doesn't stand tall or value their own voice. But here's the game changer. You have every right to be here. You have every right to express yourself, to take up space, to make mistakes. And that's where true respect starts, from owning your presence, your thoughts, your imperfections. You don't need to apologize for being human. So what do you say instead of apologizing? Let's flip the script. Instead of "Sorry, I'm late," say, "Thanks for waiting." Instead of "Sorry for bothering you," try, "Do you have a moment?" Instead of "Sorry, can I add something?" go with, "I'd like to add something." You're not apologizing for existing anymore. You're standing tall and owning your space. Next time you feel the urge to say, "I'm sorry," pause and ask yourself, do I really need to apologize? Or am I just shrinking at this moment? Because respect starts with how you treat yourself. Drop the unnecessary sorries and watch as people start respecting you in ways you've never experienced before. Number 2, you don't have boundaries. Let's talk about something that might be difficult to hear, but it's necessary if you want respect in your life. Boundaries. If you're not setting boundaries, here's the hard truth. You're not being generous, you're being spineless. Yes, I said it. Now, before you get defensive, think about how many times you've said yes to things you really didn't want to do. How often have you allowed someone to cross your personal line because you didn't want to seem difficult or selfish? How many times have you kept quiet to avoid conflict, even when you knew you should have spoken up? If this sounds familiar, we need to have a real conversation. Boundaries aren't just nice to have, they're essential if you want respect. They're not about keeping people away or building walls around you. They're about teaching people how to engage with you in a way that's respectful. Without boundaries, there are no rules. And when there are no rules, people will walk all over you, and they won't think twice about it. Let's break it down. When you don't set boundaries, you're silently saying, your convenience is more important than my peace of mind. Think about how often you've stayed late at work to pick up someone else's slack, or answered an email at 11 p.m. just to keep things smooth for someone else. That's you putting their needs before your own, sacrificing your time, your energy, and your peace just to make someone else happy. And I know, setting boundaries isn't easy, but here's where it gets uncomfortable. People will get upset when you start enforcing your limits. They're used to you doing everything for them, to you always saying yes, to you never rocking the boat. Let me give you an example. There was this time when a friend called me up asking me to pick them up at the airport late at night. Now I had plans, I was tired, and I knew it wasn't something I could give my best energy to. So I politely said no. And guess what happened? They got upset. I thought you'd be there for me. What kind of friend is this? And for a second I felt guilty. But then I realized something important. It's not about me being a bad friend. It's about me respecting my own boundaries. So I stuck to my decision. And you know what? They found another way to get to the airport, and our friendship remained just fine. Here's the thing. When you allow others to overstep your boundaries, you're saying, my needs don't matter as much as yours. That mindset? It's a fast track to resentment. You'll burn out and you'll end up frustrated, wondering why no one respects your time, your space, your life. But when you start setting and enforcing your boundaries, you'll be amazed at how people will start to respect you. Take another example. I had a colleague who kept piling last-minute tasks onto me, always assuming I'd pick up the slack. At first I thought, hey, I'm a team player, and helped out. But then it became a pattern. Every time they messed up or failed to plan, I'd be the one staying late to fix it. I remember one night, while staying late yet again to clean up their mess, I had an epiphany. Why am I letting someone else's lack of preparation cost me my time and my sanity? So the next time they came to me with a last-minute request, I simply said, I'm sorry, but I can't help with that right now. You'll have to figure it out. Were they irritated? Yes. Did they figure it out? Absolutely, and I got to leave the office at my usual time, feeling good about myself for once. You need to understand this. Setting boundaries isn't about being rude or mean. It's about respecting yourself. It's about saying, my time, my energy, and my peace matter just as much as anyone else's. And if you don't honor your own boundaries, no one else will. But here's the real kicker. Boundaries aren't just for the people who respect you. They're for the people who don't. Setting boundaries helps you weed out those who are never going to treat you with dignity. And that's not selfish. That's self-preservation. Here's the deal. Don't waste your time explaining yourself. Just say, that's enough. No justification, no excuse, no apology, and stick to it. The moment you cave, you're teaching people that your boundaries can be bent. Don't do that to yourself. And here's something else. Start small. Practice saying no to the little things. Those invitations or requests that you really don't want to accept. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Once you get comfortable saying no to the small stuff, saying no to the big stuff will feel a lot easier. Look, I won't lie, setting boundaries is tough. It's going to make some people angry and it's going to make you uncomfortable. But you know what's even worse? Living a life where you're constantly putting everyone else's needs before your own. That leads to burnout, resentment, and frustration. So, start small. Get clear on what you need. Communicate those boundaries and hold firm. The only people who will be upset are the ones who've been benefiting from you not having any boundaries. And honestly, that's the kind of person you need to distance yourself from. So set the boundary. Trust me, it's worth it. 3. Master the power of silence. Did you catch that? The moment I stop speaking, that little pause, that's the secret to grabbing attention. It's not the words you say, but the silence you leave in between that carries the weight. Most people are terrified of silence. They feel the pressure to fill every moment with words, and they end up rushing, speaking over their thoughts, or stumbling. The result? They sound like they're trying to convince you of something rather than simply sharing something worth hearing. Here's the tough pill to swallow. The pause is where your strength lies. We live in a world that prizes speed, fast decisions, fast talking, fast everything. It's easy to assume that speaking quickly equals confidence and quick thinking. But here's the catch. Fast doesn't always mean effective. When you speak too fast, your words blur together. They become background noise, something people hear but don't truly listen to. Now contrast that with a pause. The silence is not empty. It's pregnant with meaning. It gives people space to process. It builds anticipation. Imagine this. You're listening to a song and it's just a constant stream of sound. No pauses, no breaks. Overwhelming, right? But when a beat drops, when there's a pause, that's when the magic happens. Your words are the same. It's not about saying more. It's about making every word hit with intention. Let me tell you a story. I used to hate pauses. I was the guy who tried to fill every silence with more words. I thought that silence meant uncertainty, so I talked and talked and talked. Whether it was in meetings, presentations, or even casual conversations, I thought the more I said, the more people would value my input. But guess what? It didn't work. I ended up exhausting people. I remember a specific time I was pitching an idea at work. I was so wrapped up in explaining every little detail that I didn't realize the audience had zoned out halfway through. Afterward, my boss pulled me aside and said, "You have great ideas, but you don't give people time to absorb them." That moment made me realize I was doing all the work for the people listening, instead of letting them process my words. That feedback was a wake-up call. I had to trust my ideas, trust my words, and trust the people I was speaking to. The next time I presented something, I made a conscious effort to pause, and it felt weird. Every time I stopped, I wanted to fill the space with more words. But over time, I began to notice a change. People weren't just hearing me, they were listening. Here's when it really clicked for me. I gave a speech, and this time I was intentional about the pauses. I slowed down, allowed moments of silence after key points, and then let the words sink in. Afterward, someone approached me and said, "That was amazing. I could feel the weight of every word you said." That's when I realized it's not about saying a lot. It's about saying it with impact. Here's the deeper takeaway. Pausing isn't just about the act of speaking. It's about presence. It's about being so grounded in your message that you don't feel the need to constantly fill the air with noise. A pause shows confidence. It says, "I trust what I'm saying, and I trust you to understand it." This kind of calm assurance, that's what commands respect. But it's not just about confidence, it's also about patience. Pausing teaches us to slow down, to be deliberate. And in a world that's always rushing, that's rare. People respect someone who isn't constantly in a hurry, who's willing to take their time and let things breathe. When you pause, you show that you value your words and you respect the person listening. The most important of all, drop the gossip. Let's get real for a second. You know that juicy bit of info about someone at the office or that story your friends swore you wouldn't share. Everyone's done it at some point, right? But here's the hard truth. Gossip doesn't make you look intriguing. It makes you look unreliable. And if you're the one dishing it out, guess what? People aren't respecting you. They're just waiting for the moment when you turn your focus on them. I get it. Gossip feels like a shortcut to belonging. It feels like you're in the know, part of a secret society. But here's the catch. Every time you indulge in gossip, you're telling everyone around you, "I can't be trusted." It's not just about the person you're talking about, it's about you. If people can't trust you with the little things, they sure as heck won't trust you with the big things. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was this one coworker. Let's call her Sarah. She was always working long hours and seemed exhausted. One day, I made a remark to another colleague, saying something along the lines of, "Sarah's probably just overthinking everything as usual." It started as a joke, but before I knew it, others added their own spins. Sarah was disorganized. Sarah wasn't cut out for the job. And who was the one who started it all? Yep, me. The punchline? Sarah had been dealing with a personal family issue, supporting a sick relative. My careless gossip wasn't harmless. It was damaging. It was embarrassing to realize I had fueled a narrative based on zero facts, all for the sake of a quick laugh. Here's the reality of gossip. It's rarely about the person you're talking about. It's about you. Why are you sharing that? Are you looking for validation? Are you trying to make yourself seem more interesting? Most gossip stems from insecurity. It's like saying, I might not be perfect, but at least I'm not as bad as that person. The problem? When you gossip, people aren't focusing on the person you're trashing. They're focused on you and wondering if they can trust you. But when you choose not to gossip, that's when you stand out. People start seeing you as someone who doesn't need to bring others down to build yourself up. They start viewing you as a person of integrity, someone who can be trusted with sensitive information. That's where respect lives. I made the choice to actively step away from gossip, and the shift was incredible. Instead of jumping into those, "Did you hear about?" conversations, I started saying something like, "I'm sure they're dealing with their own stuff. Hope everything's okay." It felt awkward at first, like I was missing out on some secret club. But over time, I realized people started coming to me with serious issues. They respected me more because I wasn't someone who used their vulnerability for entertainment. The deeper lesson here is this: gossip doesn't just hurt others, it's corrosive to your own character. It chips away at your reputation, your relationships, and even your own self-respect. When you stop gossiping, you're telling the world, I don't need to tear someone down to lift myself up. That's where true respect comes from. And let's be real. When you're known as the one who always has the latest gossip, you're also known as the one who can't keep their mouth shut. You know who those people are, right? They don't get trusted with important tasks. They don't get invited into the inner circle. Worst of all, they're the ones left out when the real conversations happen. Ditch the gossip. It's a trap that leads nowhere good. So here's the takeaway. When you speak with purpose and confidence, you show people that your words carry weight. You allow them the space to absorb what you're saying and give them a chance to truly respect you. It's not about filling every moment with words, but about trusting that your message will land on its own. Yes, it takes practice and courage, but once you've mastered it, the respect you earn will be undeniable. So the next time you speak, say what you mean, then stop. Let your words breathe and watch how people start listening. If you found value in this video, make sure to like and share it. By doing so, you're helping others learn how to speak with purpose and command respect. And don't forget to subscribe. There's more to come that'll help you level up in every conversation.